take on the whole, what is the indie community? It's people who grew up, being creative and are trying to find a way to incorporate that into their grown-up lives.
We are taking back craftiness from what we remember, I think, as kids.
I think the movement towards doing things yourself, I think even if it is a popular movement that everyone is doing, I think it's great.
I'm really happy to see a lot of people just getting their sewing kits out and like making stuff.
We all share printmaking facilities and a ballroom space. It's kind of a chameleon room. We're continuously building and improving our facilities so we can continue to make challenging art and radical actions.
KNITA is a group of people based in Houston, and we take our knitted pieces and we take them out to the streets. So we tag things like stop sign poles and trees and anything that we feel like tagging.
This sort of pattern that I'm doing right now, this type of bead, can be found in museums. You can find examples of this kind of bead in museums that are 2,000 or 3,000 years old.
It's a very traditional craft. Crocheting and mosaicing are very old, but I like to take a new twist on it. Add the cats, add the skulls, so it is not just like the same old stuff that you saw in your grandma's house. It's brand new, it's fresh, and it's like cool.
When I started Sublime Stitching, I was really worried about the purists coming out and saying, I can't believe you're showing them to do a French knot this way, or something like that, because I really was taking it from a completely different angle.
So many people could relate to it on a personal level because they used to make hook rugs themselves.
The thing that's so sweet about it is that needleworkers say, we're just so glad that people are learning to do it, that the education is continuing.
I don't have any set patterns, so everything's kind of one of a kind. I just kind of go with what I know it should look like, and I just cut them out, and I don't have any help right now. I would like to eventually have somebody to help with packing orders, maybe printing out the emails, and even cutting. But I'd always like to do all the sewing, the actual construction of it myself.
If you're taking the time to make something, it seems natural to want to take the time to really make it well, and from beginning to end.
I grew up going to thrift stores when I was a child, so from early on I learned how to alter clothing, and it's just continued through my whole life. And so a lot of the clothes that I make is inspired by that.
I've always gone to flea markets since I was a kid and had jewelry and collected jewelry and torn out jewelry and made new jewelry, so it's just kind of a perfect fit, and that's what I do full time, is tear up old jewelry and remake it into new stuff and scavenge the land for vintage beads.
This one is done by an artist named Micaela. She's a Japanese artist, trained in New York, and she's a textile designer, so you can actually see a lot of influences of cross stitching and so on. When you buy them, it comes with the artist's bio. We kind of think of it as a traveling gallery.
A craft fair is more than just showing up and buying stuff. It's just a way to support different communities. It's a way to meet people, and it's a way to support individual artists, but it's more than just a shopping experience. A lot of craft fairs now have DIY tables where you can make your own piece to bring home, and I just think that is such an amazing development. It's nothing I ever would have imagined a couple years ago.
People really appreciate it. I think that's why it has become such a big deal, because people really appreciate the work that goes into it.
With the rise of the indie craft kind of burgeoning community, it seems to be all about context, whereas my books wouldn't sell that great next to batik silk scarves, but if there's a batik silk scarf with a skull on it next to me, I sell much better.
It gets easier every year as far as I'm not asked why my prices are so high, or why there's only a limited amount of things, or why I used reused material. It feels like the
it kind of feels like the world has come around to our way of thinking.
My first calendar was, I went to Kinko's, copied off 100, and then just sold those, copied another 100, sold those. Now, like the calendar, I print 12,000 this year, and next year I'm going to have to print 15, 16,000.
Being a shop, we feel like we really can
help them out in that way.
Support them and encourage them to keep on doing what they're doing. And our goal really is to support all these people, and mostly women, who are able to do this and make a business out of it.
We're not specifically people that were crafters that did stuff, but we definitely like could identify that we like that a lot more than the manufactured stuff that we looked at. So it was more just like, it felt like this is a natural fit because we like it.
We both made zines, so like from that self-publishing background, like we had an appreciation for kind of DIY stuff.
I see a lot of similarity between the arts and crafts community and the indie record and music community, and there's a lot of overlap too.
Would make these polar fleece mittens for Kicking Giant, because everybody had t-shirts for their bands, but who had mittens for their bands? Nobody. And so I just kept making these mittens and ended up making them for K Records.
People are loving doing things themselves and learning how to do a craft and actually get the satisfaction and enjoyment from actually making something themselves. And there are more and more resources for people to learn those types of things as the community grows.
If people approach me and they're excited about something that I make, I tell them that they can do it themselves also, and I can show them how if they want to learn, or they can order a kit in the mail, but that just to remind people that they can do anything, that everything is possible.